Enjoy Probamatica. I am Alfonso, doctor in pure math, and I am trying to learn statistics. We will see today how mean and variant I am. No, just kidding. What we will see today is how mean and variance will help us understand random variables. So we start with the mean. But as an introduction, let's see first a middle point between 2 points, between 2 numbers. So the middle between a and b is a plus b divided by 2. An example, if we have a equal 3, b equal 9, so the middle point will be 6, as we can see here in this visual aid. There is a middle point for 3 numbers. Well, yes, it's a plus b plus c divided by 3, and here we have an example. But what does it mean, this? We can see it mostly in the middle between these 3 points, like someone is the middle is this. But okay, what does this mean? This means like a point of balance. If we have some weights into three spaces, this is the balance point where we should hold it in order to have a balance between these 3. If we have 2 numbers, that means that we have 2 weights on the same spots and 1 weight in another spot. And the point of balance will be, in this case, will be 5, which is closer to 3, where we have the 2 weights, than to 9. So the mean, there we have, as the steps we had before, experiment, sample space, and then we have a random variable which we will call x. The mean is defined as this formula here, which is the sum over all k's from the probability that x is equal to k times k. Remember, k is the number. It's the number that the random variable has. So an example, let's take as an experiment, throw a dice with faces. The face of the dice will be a circle, a triangle, a square, and an X, as the joystick of the PlayStation. So the sample space will be having the face of the circle up, having the face of the triangle up, or having the face of the square up or the X up. So as a random variable, we will assign a value of every element in this sample space. Let's say that having the circle up is, we assign the value of 0. Having the triangle up, we assign the value of 1. Having the square up, we assign the value of 4. And having the x up, we assign the value of 4. We have 2 times the value of 4. That is perfectly possible for a random variable. Then the probability function for this random variable will be for y equals 0, 1, 4, for y equal 1, 1, 4, and for y equal 4, 1 half. I mean 2 fourths. This means probability of having the circle up, having the triangle up, or having the x square or x up. Then we can compute the mean, and the mean will be the probability of y equals 0 times 0, the probability of y equal 1 times 1, and the probability of y equal 4 times 4. There is only three values for the random variable. So this will give us 9/4, which it is equal to 2.5. So we can think of this as the middle point between these 4 elements. And again, the point 4 weighs double. Take your time to think this, because it's important to understand very well what the mean means. Now we go and explain what the variance is. But first, we will remember what is the distance between 2 points in a plane. The formula is what I'm writing here, and this comes from Pythagoras' theorem. Let's graph the 2 points in a plane. We have AB and CD, which is graphed like this, The distance is this line here, and then this space that we have here is c minus a, and this space here is d minus b. By Pythagoras theorems, this distance, this is a right triangle, and then the distance, that is the hypotenuse, is a square, is equal to the sum of the squares of the two catetus. So the distance is the square root of this. So that the formula was right. And this formula works for many dimensions. Let's say 3 dimension, it will be exactly the same. And for more and more dimensions, it's the same. Now, this is the definition of a, well, not a definition, but a way to think of the variance of a random variable. And the random variable, we will call it y. So that we can think of it as the distance square between itself and its mean. And the standard deviation is the distance. So the standard deviation will be the square root of the variance. In other words, if here we have the distance, then we forget this ugly square root for the variance, and we put the ugly square root for the standard deviation. So let's continue and see in formula what this means, what these two things means. So the variance is defined as what I have here. The variance of a random variable y will be here. I put, this is the symbol for the variance. Notice that here we have the square already put there. So it's the sum. Here I have the probabilities of y being equal to k. And then we put, we sum over all the values that this thing have, which is the mean of y minus the value of y. The value of y is k. So let's take an example, the example of the dice. There we have our random variable have as mean 2.5, the random of the dice with circle, triangle, square, and x. And that will be the sum. So the first is the probability of y equals 0, which is the circle. Then the mean minus the value of the random variable, which is 0. Then the probability of being 1, that is 1/4. Then the mean minus the value, that is 1. And then the probability of being 4, remember that the value is 4 if we have these two last faces up. So it's 1/2 the probability. And then 2.5 minus 4, which is the value of the random variable. All square, like if it were a distance. Or well, the square of a distance. Then the standard deviation will be the square root of that. Here we have 4, 4, 4. This is equal to 2/4. We can sum over all of that, and then this is a fraction where the denominator is 4. So the square of the denominator is 2. So note that here 2 times the standard deviation is exactly the distance between this point and this point. And this point we can think of it as assigning for every face of the dice 2.5. And here is assigning to every face of the dice the way we did it. 0 for circle, 1 for triangle, 4 for square, and 4 for x. Whereas here is all the time the mean of these values. Another way of thinking of the variance is the mean of this new random variable. So the middle point or the balance point of the values that this one has. So this means, okay, we have our random variable that 0 gives to 0, that circle gives to 0, triangle gives to 1, and square and x it gives to 4. And now we have another random variable which circle gives us this value here, triangle gives us this value here, and square and x give us this value here. I'm not putting the results because if you put the results, you don't see from where it came. And this is how you see where it came. 0, 1, 4, 0, 1, 4. Mean, mean, mean. It's clear, right? And then we have the middle point between three things, where this one weights double. That is exactly what we had before as the variance. And that is all I wanted to say today. We will see in the next video an interesting way or an easier way to calculate the variance, and well, not the mean, but just the variance. The thing is that when you calculate the variance, you also need to calculate the mean. And well, that's all. See you, mean variance of yourself.